friends, to Allatra TV. Today we have a very special guest with us as we continue to communicate with people around the globe after the huge wave of the conference that took place on July 24th, 2021. It was called Global Crisis. This already affects everyone. And the type of wave that happened, we are continue this on with conversations around the globe from the people that are not indifferent to what is happening to our planet Earth. And today we have Andrea Wen with us, and she is a creator of One Humanity, One World. She's executive director of KLYSTAR, an environmental activist and filmmaker. So, Andrea, welcome to Allatra TV. We are so happy to see you again.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure for me and an honor to share this platform with such wonderful people with this great vision for peace.
Thank you so much. And can you tell us a little bit more about your background and why did you start One Humanity, One World organization?
Sure. Well, I graduate myself from the performing arts. I am an artist myself, but yet I have always been a very sensitive person, and I have always wondered myself, what can we really do to really change the world? Which sounds like a very useful thing, but I have always believed that if everybody in the world keep asking themselves that question, we actually could be do better things and take peace out of the paper and stop saying it's an utopia thing. So that's why from a very young age, I wanted to be an activist and of many different fields. And because I love nature and I always see every life form as the same, I am a vegan myself and a defender for animal rights. So I always had a life focus on wanting to become more and more wise so I can give the best of me to the world. The reason of why OHA, One Humanity, One World started was because the global pandemic started emerging around the world. And I saw how the world was simmering into the darkness. But I kind of came to the conclusion that sometimes in the darkest sky, the stars start brightening the most, because sometimes after a lot of suffering, a huge awakening is being propelled. And and actually, all this pandemic and global crisis that has been going for many years, but now it's reaching its limits, as you have spoken on other conferences. Um, it's taking into a point where we can no longer question if we are all the same or not. Um, we have a good lesson of humbleness and humility, and now we are starting to realize that the only choice we have in order to get through a brighter future is uniting with everyone. And One Humanity, One World is called that way because it's from the philosophy that if we really learn to see humanity as one human race and one world family with no discrimination, all borders of the countries will immediately disappear. And then we will all be living for one and one for all. And I believe that's the only way to achieve peace. I have been working in charity, especially on the KLYSTAR organization, which is an organization dedicated to build a bridge between science and religion. And I work with very renowned genius scientist, which is called the Dr. Leon. He proved through mathematics and physics the existence of a single omnipotent consciousness, which is basically what religions call God. And we believe that if humanity could focus their strength on wisdom, finding answers, and uniting, then there's no reason to talk about all the things that divide us, and there's no reason to make wars. So that's just a little bit about me. I am an artist, but I put all my life focus on working to try to create projects to unite humanity more.
Wow, Andrea, thank you so much. Really, I would say that, you are kind of example of the person, of the human in our society who took responsibility on yourself, and just really act and give this amazing example, how to create this world a better place. And you show it by your own example. Thank you so much. And,
Uh, Actually, Valerie, I think it all starts at home, and it is the way we are raised that really define our trajectory. I have a lot to thank to my mother. I had a single mother of three children. Right now, I'm 20 years old, and she taught me to ask myself, instead of asking yourself what do you want from life, why don't you ask yourself what does life want from you? And why don't you try to live your best life to give others and to serve to a bigger purpose than just yourself? And it was also thanks to my mother that inspiration for me made me realize that if we really learn to see everyone, even if we are from different countries, different homes, different mothers, as family, families argue, have discussions, but there's a bond of love that despite all our disagreements, we are going to respect each other and always have that love bond that will unite us, even when we disagree, that we will always force us to find a creative solution so we don't fight anymore, because you will never kill your family, even if you disagree with them. And that has a lot to do with what creative society of Allatra is trying to talk about. Um, we talk about caring about the human life and taking care of it, above all, and never do anything that harms or threatens the human life. You will always take care for your family, and you will never let anything harm your family. Never. So if you see humanity as your family, you'll never let any product to be created to hurt your family. My mother never let me eat junk food, never. So I wouldn't do the same to my children, or creating. So if we extrapolate a peaceful home into a peaceful society, that creative society will have the opportunity to bloom greatly.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you so much, Andrea. And what is, in your opinion, what is the biggest global crisis we face right now? What is like the biggest one?
Oof, it's complicated because um, it's a global crisis for many reasons. But I believe that the hardest we have is the unconsciousness of society. For many decades or even centuries, if you want to put it that way, we have been brainwashed to not think too much for ourselves and just try to find a way to be comfortable with life, even if things around us aren't going good. And that makes society has adopted an attitude, a very individualistic attitude where I am just supposed to take care of myself. Everybody outside is an enemy, and I need to survive and do whatever I have to do, even if that implies hurting others or lying or whatever. So I think that the most the biggest crisis is on the consciousness of humanity and all the ignorance that there's still today in the 21st century. That unconsciousness and that ignorance um, makes people live on their own bubble. Well, they are living in a crisis, but they don't care because they are only worried about if their bubble is going to explode or not. And ultimately, all those bubbles will explode because it's unsustainable. This global crisis is true that everybody is locked on their own bubbles. But as I said, that's connected to the education. And on the world today, most of the 80% of this world doesn't have a proper education. There are many countries where that a school is a dream. And that's why one of the One Humanity, One World projects is that we are creating a holistic educational curriculum for peace that just teach peace through every subject, no nationalism, and it's all peace-based, but great knowledge and great wisdom too. And we are creating this educational curriculum to have it in online platforms, but also to take it to schools. And generally for free, we want to make it accessible and for free to everyone. And we are trying to raise $100 million for 1 million solar panel tablets that we want to take to the poorest corners of the world so we can give those children an education through a solar panel tablet, because in those places, electricity is a dream, just like a school is a dream. They don't even have schools there. But if every children from a very young age had the opportunity to nurture their minds and their souls and their bodies, we wouldn't have this crisis, because this is all due to the ignorance, and the ignorance creates more unconsciousness, and that causes people to be so individualistic and aggressive with everyone. So I think that it all starts inside of us and not just what we have around. What we have around is just a result of what we are creating from inside.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing that, Andrea. And it really hits home, and it really is this huge understanding of that every single person born on this planet needs to have exactly same conditions and opportunities for their personality to decide what they want to do in life. If they want to lay on a couch and do anything, people who should have this choice, just their choice cannot affect another human being. But if people want to strive and do amazing things, they should be able to as well, and they should not be confined to the place they were born or the situation they are in. And really, creative society gives us all opportunities to be that human being with a capital H, to really show this potential that we have and use it for the benefit of the society. So thank you so much, Andrea, for sharing that. And also, as we are talking about global crisis, we wanted to ask you what type of climatic events or crisis you are aware of or you already seen in the place where you are.
Well, I live in Catalonia, Spain, and I'm surrounded by villages that are dedicated to animal farming, especially pigs. And in my own village, for several months, nobody was able to use the water of their sinks or their showers because the water was so polluted that the government had to give explanations to the population. Please don't drink the water, you will die intoxicated. Buy bottled water, please. Okay, that's crazy and unsustainable, and that happens on little villages. But it actually happens in more than one place at one time, and that's to all the chemicals that are thrown to the waters. But it is not just the chemicals or the pesticides. It's also just the fact of farming animals creates a crazy waste of gallons of water that the impact that has on the carbon footprint, it's worse than all the cars that are on the street on a big city. And I think that the food industry has such a huge control on everything we consume that they have a huge interest uh, for us to keep consuming certain things just because that will make them rich. But they care more about making that money than the consequences that have on our environment and our own health. Because if those animals are intoxicated, the moment you eat them, you're intoxicating yourself too, and you're destroying your planet in a magnitude that people is not really aware of. It's the impact that has is really like a huge catastrophe. And I believe that just by making simple changes like changing your nutrition or your daily food, which is something everybody can do, it's not something that only rich people can do. Everybody can change a little bit of their daily life habit. They will have such a positive impact on the environment. Not just recycling, which of course is great because the amount of trash we generated reduced, not just by controlling every little water you waste, which of course you have to do too, but your nutrition, the impact that would have if you decide to try a more plant-based consumption way of life, your grandchildren will maybe have an ocean with fishes, which by 2045, they expect the ocean to be more of the half dead. That means that my grandchildren will never know what a dolphin is, just like we talked about prehistoric animals today. And that's so sad. And it's so simple, but it's something that people don't really hear much. People think they can only help through recycling or changing their cars. But how many people in today's economy can change their car and afford an electric car? I don't know many, and even if they like to. So yes, I think that's the heaviest spot on the environmental crisis today that not many are aware of, regrettably.
Yeah, thank you, Andrea, for sharing. Now I just invite everyone to watch a video about the conference, and then we can move on in our discussion.
Today, people themselves, volunteers from all over the world who have a reasonable view of reality, together with scientists and experts from many fields, will outline cause and effect relationships of various crises that already affect everyone.
All of us today are divided. We are divided, along multiple axes. And that is the fundamental crisis that confronts us. If we are able to solve that, we'll have a fighting chance to solve for everything else. If we are not able to solve that, science and technology, I don't believe is going to be able to ever, lead us out of the crisis, absolutely the edge of the cliff that we find ourselves on. So I think it's wonderful what is being attempted.
I believe the climate changes is just reflecting the collective consciousness of humanity. So in this sense, everybody has the same, same significance, same importance for the humanity. Each person. Even you are lying on the bed, or if you you cannot do any action at all. You are emitting vibration, you are emitting information like that, and you are affecting all the world. So if you have a life, you are changing the world. You have a potential to change the world.
We're going to be in an environment where it's barren land. We have no oxygen, but yet we have, $10 million in the bank. What good is that? You can't buy it.
Concentration of huge flows of people who live according to the principles of a consumer society causes catastrophic environmental pollution in one place.
But there is another option, a creative society, in which the highest value is the life of every person.
There are no boundaries in the air. There are no boundaries in the oceans. We depend on each other very much. And we would like this problem to be taken with utmost seriousness, as it is our responsibility.
We can help guide artificial intelligence to maximize its tremendous potential to enhance society. Now, artificial intelligence may help usher in a golden age of humanity, where we can all live in peace and harmony, free from the scarcity of resources that have divided nations and diminished the quality of life on this planet for so long. I really believe we need to shift the focus of society from cash to compassion. This is creative society. And I'm confident that we can all work together as creative society to help artificial intelligence become one of the most positive developments.
We cannot stay as we are. If we are to move up, then we have to be aware of how to do it and be a conscious agent of that upshift. So information leading to awareness is really everything. That's the key. Programs like this, conferences like this, are a very key element. If we can become oriented towards creating a world, being a creative society, then we can be a healthy impulse, a motivation for the evolution of life.
Wow.
Yes, so Andrea, what do you think actually? What really, divide people, and why are people so divided today? What What is the reason?
Again, I believe it all relates to education, and for we have been told that our differences are more stronger than what unite us, but that's absolutely not true. There's no baby in this world that is born being evil. Not a single human being is born being racist or hating. Every baby by nature is born being loving. It's born curious. Um, it is our environment that is educating us, that teaches to have fear, that teaches to hate, that teaches to be racist, and that teaches to be like, sadly, most of society is right now. But listen, when I was 5, 6 years old, one of my best friends was a girl with a very dark skin. I believe her father was Afro American, and I never knew she was black. I never knew it. The day I knew she was black was because I heard an old lady, a very old lady, saying, "Oh, that black girl," and I was like, "Black? What do you mean black?" And then I realized how the external world see my friend, and I never realized that her skin was other color. Like I never even thought of it. It's true that I was born on a generation surrounded by children of immigrants. I am the daughter of an immigrant myself. My mother is from Venezuela, South American, and I grew up in Europe, Spain, with a generation of children from parents from Morocco or Russia or many other countries. And I always thought that the color of their skin was as equal as the color of their eyes. You don't dislike someone for their eyes being green or blue or brown. You just don't care. You don't even notice, right? You don't even give that matter. It's not a big issue. Then why the color of our skin is a big issue? It's the same as the color of our eyes. So I always found that so stupid as a child when I was growing up, hearing old people making those comments or seeing how politicians attack little ethnic groups. I'm like, seriously, we're just one human race. We are, it's not even like this is not a competition. We are all trying to survive and do our best for our evolution, you know? But I think, again, it all relies on education. But because my generation of young people have been growing up in a total different environment than the past generation, we are way more tolerant. And that's also why this generation is bringing so much new movements of awareness on environmental change, on Black Lives Matters, Asian Lives Matters. Listen, all lives matter. There's no such a thing that matters more than the other. The fact that we need to say that one race matters is just shows how silly we have been this entire time. But this is just trying to shout out to the world that we are having awareness, that there are many things that are wrong, that we know that they have always been wrong. And not because it has always been this way means that we are not going to change it. Same with gender equality. Just because women have been on the back their entire history doesn't mean that we are not going to change that. So many people is terrified of the change, but there's an evolution of nature. And it's that if you are not able to adapt to the change and evolve, you will die. And that nature decides. There's nobody killing you. You yourself are killing yourself if you don't open your mind to the change, if you don't embrace it. So I think the collective consciousness is right now growing positively because I can see it in the people. The fact that this Allatra TV exists is just everything. All the people that work here already has a higher level of consciousness, and all the people that consume this consciousness, they are doing so much just by thinking this way. Just by thinking, it all starts within you. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Andre. And that's true that the more of us that are waking up and not just sitting on the sidelines, but really voicing what matters to us. And we all know that we live in one informational field, and it is right now filled with information that divides us, unfortunately. But what do you think? What type of information will bring, or what kind of values will bring this unity in people right now? What are we craving right now as far as unity goes?
First of all, we are destroying the concept of an enemy. If there's no enemy, there's no reason we need to find excuses to make wars. The moment we don't have an enemy, we can talk about a common objective. What do we want for us? And we're always going to look for the best for everyone since we have finally understood that we are one. The beauty of unity is that you start living as you're just one organism. And that means that you make sure every little cell is fine so it can perfectly work in to feed the entire organism itself. So information nowadays, it's like going into a tornado. Many things are going to hit you. And most of them are not going to be positive. But if you're able to step out of that tornado and look things from above, from another perspective, and you try to understand everything on a neutral way, we really are in a point when we need to start using our own brains and stop being told what to think or what to believe. And I think that's something that it's hard nowadays because everybody is so obsessed watching TV and the news, and people just believe the first thing they are told, and they hold so much fear inside of them that the fear doesn't let you think. So I think it's essential to first get rid of all that fear so we can be calm enough to actually think what is logical and what do we really want and what makes sense for us.
Yeah, thank you. That's true. And actually, we also have gotten many interviews, and people talking so much about the media, about the information, that everyone just tired about this information, that they want to watch it, So, and of course, the media can be, just help to tell the truth, but also what is important to bring this question really serious about the way out, to discuss it all together, to have this communication, to pass on this information, right? And Andrea, I would like to ask you, what do you think? You actually already answered a little bit to this question, but probably you would like to go deeper, maybe a little bit. Why do you think like this, the unification and building of creative society is so important? And what happened if we will not do it, in your opinion?
Okay. It's very simple and radical, and I don't mean to sound radical, but it is a radical topic. We are leading to our self-extinction. We are literally killing ourselves. We are destroying our homes, our bodies, and our families. We are committing a massive suicide. Right now, if we don't stop and decide to make a radical change, we are already on the road of the not so bright destiny. So that's what is basically going to happen if people just decide to stay as we are right now. What we're doing right now is not enough to change things. So there's a huge scarcity of time. That's why I think this global crisis is also making all the systems crashing down, the economic system, the consuming system, because it's forcing people to ask themselves deeper questions and realizing that they have just been living on a cycle of consuming and surviving without knowing why they do even exist. if we don't have the chance to ask ourselves, why do we even exist? We don't let the chance of the question come. We will never try to be better and do better. So when you lose everything and you can no longer be obsessed on having, owning more, you are alone with yourself, and the only thing you're left to is to be. And when you have to be and you realize that you are empty, you start asking, how do I want to feel myself and what type of person I want to be in this world? Do I really want to be a genuine human being, a human with capital H, as Olga has raised up before? Do I want to be a human with a capital H, or do I want to live a meaningless life? The truth is that nobody wants to live a meaningless life. Nobody wants that. So after the darkness, there's always the light. So even if it sounds pessimistic, actually we have a great opportunity to come together closer than ever and actually help all the people that is around us with love and understanding, because this takes time, a different time for everyone. We cannot expect, sometimes it's hard for the people that have this level of consciousness. They want everyone to already be eager for unity and peace and love. And we see many people around us that is so asleep and drowned and suffocated and depressed that we kind of want to push them. But we need to push them with love, just like you would do with your child, or your sister or your brother, and really see everyone as equals, even the ones that do not think like us. Because those people that think in a very destructive way, that will not help the future of humanity, will consume themselves. And the only thing we should show is compassion, not hate. They are not the enemy. There's not an enemy, not even the people that defend the worst or that are doing so bad right now with the world. There's no an enemy. The only enemy we should seek is our ego that make us believe we are better than the rest, and hence doesn't let us be the best person of ourselves.
Yes, thank you so much, Andrea. You summed it up so well for us. And I also wanted to discuss with you one of the foundations of the creative society, which is number one, human life, and the importance of it, and how our world will really change if we put this human life first. And I will read it for our audience because not everybody got a chance to look at that, but you can visit Allatraunites.com to read all 8 pillars or foundations of the creative society. And those foundations are requests of people around the globe for the better future for all of them. I will ask to bring back the number one foundation so I can read it on the screen, please. Thank you. So human life, number one, human life is the highest value. Life of any human has to be protected as one's own. The goal of society is to ensure and guarantee the value of each human's life. There is not and never can there be anything else more valuable than a human's life. If one human is valuable, then all people are valuable. So, Andrea, please share with us your understandings. First, why is this number one foundation? And second, how it will help us transition from the consumeristic format we live in right now.
Well, from the very basis that it all starts with our life. If we do not respect life, then there's nothing logical on talking about any other kind of respect or protecting anything else if we don't start from what it's really the beginning of everything, life itself. And the moment we start giving the priority to the protection and the respect of our lives as living beings, is when then we will achieve the maturity to start being coherent with all of our actions. And the way this impacts the consumerism society, it will radically change it, because the consumerism society it's a new fashion way of slavery. And there's so much slavery still in the world because of the consumerism, because of the consumerism system. That if we really give priority respecting the human life, things as slavery wouldn't exist. And the terrible harming that this system is causing to many human lives that most of us ignore completely. We aren't aware of that because that occurs in our back. That happens in other rooms. So we don't notice this. That's why it doesn't bother us. But on countries like India or Taiwan or Afghanistan or many others, there's endless countries. This is taking the lives of many people, children, women, men, everyone. It doesn't really matter. But all our systems right now that are established will crash down if we start applying this first principle of the creative society. And that's why this creative society forces us to start all again from 0 and 1 and start again. And that's wonderful. I wish there was a reset button. I will press it right now so we can start doing that and building an entire new system based on that. Because it was really like that. Then I wouldn't need to talk about one humanity, one world. That would be a reality.
Yeah, thank you, Andrea. Just really want to appreciate you for this interview, to learn more from you and about you too. And, to summarize everything what we talked today, we face many crises right now. And this is what takes us, to move forward and move faster. And as you said before, also, we don't do enough. I mean, we need to move on faster. And this is what brings us, to have another conference, which is scheduled on July 4th, Global Crisis Time of Truth. And for this conference, we would like to invite every single person and to take the whole world to see this holistic picture and see the truth. And really, this time for a decision for every single person on earth, or we do something, or of course, that's all this crisis, as you said today, to summarize, will just, disappear everything. So, of course, just thank you again for participation in this interview. And it's really a pleasure to meet you again. And everything what you shared, just really, wanted to share it to all people. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrea.
It was biggest pleasure for me to be here. Thank you for having me. It's wonderful. Thank you for all your work that you are doing to spread this wide awareness and to spread the truth. Thank you, because this is making the change come faster to this world. And thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'd love to see you again.